Welcome back to Tales of Olympus, the podcast where we dive into the wildest, most dramatic, and sometimes just downright unbelievable stories from Greek mythology. I'm your host, Ariel Igao, and today we are talking about the absolute most legendary, hilarious, and downright tragic epic fail in the entire history of the universe. Seriously, grab a notebook, because this episode is a masterclass in why you should always read the fine print, especially when you are dealing with the Lord of the Sky, Zeus. And if you're listening from the Athena cabin from Camp Half-Blood, you are probably going to be screaming at your scroll or your podcast player for the next 20 minutes, because the lack of logic in the story is going to drive you completely crazy. Alright? Just before we start the episode, I have a quick announcement to make. So, the summer's coming, right? And I'm about to have my final exams in 2 weeks. And then it's summer vacation. So, what stories do you guys want to hear in the summer? Just leave a comment in our Reddit post. I'll send the link down below. You can just, make a new free account. Or if you have one, that's great. Comment down below what stories you want me to tell about, whether it's Greek, Roman, or even other mythologies. I'm open to ideas. And also, we have a lot of things this summer to do. So, yeah. Okay, let's get on with the story. Alright, let's set the scene and meet our main character, Eos. Eos is the Titan goddess of the dawn. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, Ariel, doesn't Apollo handle the sun? Yes, Apollo drives the sun chariot, but Eos is the one who actually wakes up before the crack of dawn to open the gates of heaven so Apollo can even do his job. Imagine setting your alarm for 3 a.m. every single day and doing that for all of eternity. That is Eos' life. Let's talk about her family for a minute. She is the sister of Helios, the original Sun Titan, and Selene, the Moon Titan. And she is known for having maximum aesthetic points. We are talking giant, beautiful white bird wings, rosy pink skin, and a glowing golden chariot, pulled by magical super-fast horses named Firebright and Daybreak. Firebright and Daybreak. Seriously? She is basically the absolute picture of morning perfection. But Eos had one tiny, dangerous little habit. She fell in love very, very easily. And worse, she had a terrible habit of falling in love with mortal dudes. One morning, while she is cruising all over the earth, making the sky all pretty with pink and orange clouds, she looks down and spots this mortal named Tithonus. Tithonus wasn't just some random guy. He was a prince from the legendary city of Troy. If you know your ancient history and have listened to our Trojan War episodes, you know what we're talking about. Troy was like the new Rome of its time. Huge, wealthy, and super famous. And let me tell you, Tithonus was handsome. Like, if the Aphrodite cabin got a look at him, they will literally faint. Eos takes one look at this guy and thinks, "Yep, he's the one. I must have him." Now, because she is an all-powerful immortal goddess who does not really understand human things like personal space or asking someone out on a date, she doesn't send him an iris message. She doesn't write him a letter. She just swoops down from the sky, grabs him, and completely sweeps him off his feet, literally. She kidnaps him and takes him all the way to her shiny magical palace at the very edge of the earth, near the Oceanus River. Tithonus is probably incredibly confused. But hey, he's suddenly living in a golden palace with a beautiful winged goddess who gives him whatever he wants, so he's not complaining. Fun fact! Eos is famous for her nickname. Homer, the famous ancient Greek poet, constantly called her the rosy-fingered dawn in his epic poems. This nickname is called an epithet. Ancient storytellers didn't write their stories down. They had to memorize massive epics that were thousands of lines long. Using repeated nicknames like Rosy-Fingered Dawn and Swift-Footed Achilles worked like a mental bookmark to help them remember the beat of the poem. It sounds super poetic, but honestly, if my fingers were permanently bright pink, I'd assume that I accidentally ate way too much bags of chips that are spicy while recording this podcast. Anyways, back to our dramatic romance. For a while, Eos and Tithonus are living their absolute best lives. It's like a permanent summer vacation. They are hanging out by the magical ocean, and they are eating ambrosia and drinking nectar, which, if Tithonus is anything like Percy Jackson, probably tastes like his mom's blue chocolate chip cookies, and everything is totally perfect. But then, Eos starts doing the math. She is an immortal Titan goddess. She is going to live forever. She will never age, never get sick, and never die. Tithonus, on the other hand, is a mortal human. Humans, well, they don't last forever. Eos starts panicking. She absolutely cannot stand the idea of losing her favorite person in the whole wide world. She paces around her golden palace, flapping her wings in stress until she comes up with a plan. She is going to go straight to Mount Olympus, march up right to the boss, and ask Zeus to make Tithonus immortal. Now, normally, going to Zeus for a favor is like playing dodgeball with an angry Cyclops. It rarely ends well, right? But Eos is determined. She flies up to Mount Olympus, bursts into the giant echoing throne room, and begs the king of the gods. She gets down on her knees and says, "Oh, great, powerful, incredibly awesome Zeus. Please grant my mortal boyfriend, Tithonus, immortality, so he can live forever with me." Zeus, who was probably just in a surprisingly good mood for that day, or maybe he was really distracted by a good carrot race on Olympus TV, strokes his giant, stormy beard and says, "Huh? Oh, yeah, sure, whatever. Tithonus is now immortal. Now leave me alone." Eos is so thrilled. She flies back to her palace at top speed, gives Tithonus the amazing news, and they throw a massive celebration. They think they have completely beaten the system. They're going to be young, happy, beautiful forever and ever. And they are, for about 30 or 40 years. Then, one morning, Eos is brushing Tithonus' hair, and she notices something shiny. It's a gray hair. A few weeks later, she notices a wrinkle around his eyes. A few years after that, his back starts popping like a bubble wrap every time he gets out of bed, and he starts complaining that her magical chariot goes way too fast and the wind is hurting his joints. Io freezes. The realization hits her like a minotaur charging at top speed into a brick wall. She remembers her conversation, her exact one, with Zeus in the throne room. She begged for Tithonus to live forever. She completely, totally, 100% forgot to ask for eternal youth. Guys, this is the ultimate rookie mistake. Annabeth would have never ever let this happen. If she were making that deal, she would have marched into the throne room with a 50-page laminated legal document specifying that Tithonus must remain young, healthy, and able to run a mile in under 10 minutes, and keep all of his original teeth. But Eos didn't think it through. She rushed in, and Zeus, being the sneaky guy he is, gave her exactly what she asked for. Nothing more, nothing less. Fun fact: ancient Greeks actually kept cicadas and grasshoppers as indoor pets. Can you believe that? And long before Spotify or Apple Music, ancient Athenians loved the incredibly loud buzzing sound of these bugs. They considered it the music of the summer and would weave tiny little cages out of reeds to hang in their homes so the bugs could act like an ancient background noise. Like, imagine keeping a screeching bug as a living speaker system. If Eos had known this history trick, she could have just sold Tithonus to an Athenian billionaire instead of dealing with him herself. Talk about a missed business opportunity. Anyways, back to the episode. So, the tragedy truly begins. Tithonus keeps getting older and older. But because Zeus gave him immortality, his body cannot die. He passes 100, and then 200, then 500 years old. After a few centuries, the aging process gets super weird. Tithonus starts shrinking. He loses all of his muscle, all of his hair, turns into this tiny, wrinkly, shriveled up little raisin of a guy. He shrinks down so much that he can barely move his little arms or legs. And his voice gets super thin, raspy, and squeaky. He just sits in the chair in the corner of the room, babbling all day long like,
The weather is so cold. Turn down the sun. The nectar is too sweet.
Eos feels terrible. She still loves him, but it's super awkward. She can't take him to fancy godly parties anymore. First, she tries to make him comfortable by locking him in a shiny bronze room so he is totally safe. She gives him warm blankets and leaves out magical food for him. But his squeaky little babbling gets so loud and echoey that it rings all over the giant palace. Imagine that. And it drives her absolutely bananas. Finally, out of mercy, and probably just because she wanted some peace and quiet so she could actually sleep before her 3 a.m. alarm, Eos uses her divine magic to transform Tithonus entirely. She shrinks him down the rest of the way, giving him 6 little legs and a set of wings, and turns him into a grasshopper. So now, whenever you are hanging outside on a super hot summer day and you hear that super loud, annoying wee buzzing sound coming from the trees, that's not just an ordinary bug. According to Greek mythology, that is Tithonus, the once handsome Trojan prince, still complaining about his back pain and reminding all of us demigods to be always, and incredibly specific when making a wish. Now, it's time for our bonus segment, Myth versus History. Alright, demigods, it's time for a lightning round. Here are some completely real, 100% true facts connecting to our epic myth to actual history and science. Fact number 1. The myth of Tithonus wasn't just a random story. It was an early etiological myth. That means it was a story created specifically to explain a natural phenomenon. In this case, why grasshoppers and the cicadas chatter non-stop in the summer. By the way, Troy is a real place. People actually found the ruins. And as always, my name is Ariel. I'm 11 years old, and I will see you next episode. Bye!